Is it bye-bye Booker in Phoenix? This is the Basketball Bulletin. Happy to have you all here. Make sure you do hit the subscribe button as we're getting right on the cusp of hitting 20,000 subscribers. My name's Trevor Lane, joined by Donnie Freeman. Donnie, how you doing? And I do one of the Suns' big changes coming here for the Suns, and now a little bit of speculation that the Vultures may be circling for Devin Booker.
Yeah, absolutely. It's going to be interesting to see what the Suns decide to do over the next couple of years here with him, with Kevin Durant this offseason, etc. Excuse me. But like you were saying, I just want to backtrack a little bit. Subscribe. If you are new, make sure you subscribe. We definitely want to keep you guys around and keep this thing going. But yeah, back to the Phoenix Suns. They've got some interesting stuff going on.
Yeah, so right now it is a poorly kept secret that the Phoenix Suns will be moving on from Kevin Durant this summer. We know that's coming. We know it's going to happen. They did just pick up a win over the Dallas Mavericks. A very, very injured. By the way, two teams that have had miserable seasons. Some of it self-inflicted, obviously, but the Phoenix Suns did pick up a win over the Mavs, and that certainly helps. And you look at what they did in today's game over the Mavs, 24 points, 6 assists for Devin Booker. Look, Book is their guy. He reportedly doesn't want to go anywhere. They don't want to move him. They're going to trade Kevin Durant. I think they're going to try to turn him into 2 or 3 players and then see what's what. And see if that can fix things. Because I don't think, as long as Bradley Beal doesn't want to leave Phoenix, and that's all the reporting right now is that he does not, he is stuck on that roster with the no trade clause, which means the only other thing they can do is move Kevin Durant. I don't think moving Devin Booker is going to be in the cards right now. But I think there's teams that are lining up that if this doesn't work, moving Kevin Durant this summer does not work, we're going to be talking Devin Booker trades right after that. And I know, Donnie, there's already some speculation about who is going to be going after Book.
Yeah, the thing with it all is that it all just revolves around Bradley Beal because he is he's their main pathway to potentially improving this team by getting off that salary and kind of just getting other guys that fit what they're trying to do alongside the other guys. But the problem is Beal is refusing to waive the no trade clause, as is his right. He doesn't have to if he doesn't want to, because he was given that as part of his deal. And so if you're Phoenix, the only other alternative you have is to trade off one of your other stars, because you don't really have a lot of flexibility in terms of the roster construction, draft picks, etc. And they made that trade that didn't really turn into much. I believe maybe they put one with Nurkic, right? Maybe something like that, or maybe
they did do the Nurkic trade. They sent him out to the Hornets, but they also they made the trade of trading their 2031 pick unprotected to Utah in exchange for 3 picks here. I'll show you. This is a real GM, great resource here.
Unprotected is brutal.
Unprotected is absolutely brutal. 2031. I mean, who the hell knows what the Suns are going to be 6 years from now? This could be a disaster for the Suns at that point. But you look, they picked up 3 first-round picks in that deal. A lot of people initially went, what? The Suns got 3 firsts for 1 first? That's a steal. Look, they're going to get the Cleveland pick this year. That's going to be 29 or 30. They're going to get the Cleveland, Utah, or Minnesota pick in 2027. Obviously, things can shift in 2027, but Minnesota still has Anthony Edwards. Cleveland's got a really good team that would also project to be a very late pick. They also get the Utah, Cleveland, or Minnesota pick in 2029. Again, things may change by 2029, but most likely
3 teams, they get the worst out of all 3 of those.
They get the worst out of all 3 of them. Exactly. They get the worst. So most likely we're talking about 3 picks that are going to fall 25 to 30 in exchange for their unprotected pick in 2031. And who knows what things are going to look like. They made that trade thinking they were going to be able to turn those 3 picks into a big deal for Jimmy Butler, that they were going to be able to use some of those picks to convince somebody to take on Bradley Beal. Rumors had it that the Washington Wizards were potentially the landing spot for Bradley. Wouldn't that have been something? Beal back to Washington. Yeah. And get this, Donnie. Washington's plan to woo Bradley Beal, who has a no trade clause, it was that they could sell Beal on becoming the Wizards' all-time franchise leading scorer. I think he's like 160 points away. Bradley Beal's like, nah, I like it here in Phoenix. So that was their plan. But now the Suns, they turned a potentially really good asset into 3 probably mediocre assets at best, and the rest of their future picks all tied up. When you look at the rest of their draft capital,
aside from the ones
trouble.
that were Stepien restricted. And that's
Correct.
part of why they made this deal, was to try to free up those other ones so they could potentially use those. But they weren't able to do anything with that either, because they should have their own 26, 28 picks.
Well, they've got a pick, but these are a lot of them are spoken for in swaps and stuff already too. So it
Okay.
might not even be like the best. The Washington Wizards in 2026 have the right to swap their first round pick
That's brutal.
to New York for Phoenix's 26 first. Like all of these things come into
That's
play.
just terrible.
It
They've
is
got so much.
and this is where, Donnie, teams are going to look at the Phoenix Suns and they're going to go, hey, this is not working for you. Devin Booker, it's not working out. You traded Kevin Durant last year. Again, I'm talking about the trade deadline this next year or the following summer 2026. Teams are going to say, look, if Phoenix continues to struggle, you guys don't have any other options here. You have no future with your picks. They're gone. You're not going to get the young talent that you need to truly rebuild this thing. Booker is getting older. You're going to need to make a decision here. And at some point, Devin Booker is going to look around. He's going to be Will Smith in the empty room. Kevin Durant's gone. Maybe the pieces they get back for KD work, but if they don't, Devin Booker is going to look around and he's going to say, okay, now I have to make a tough choice. I like Phoenix, but if I want to win, it's clearly not happening here. And that may be the only way for the Phoenix Suns to recoup some significant, and I mean valuable, future assets. And the team that's poised to go get Book, it's the Houston Rockets, who shorted the future of the Phoenix Suns. The Rockets can call up the Suns and say, hey, we can give you your picks back. You want them? And then go from there. Donnie, I think that's a brilliant strategy by Houston. And it wouldn't shock me at all if Devin Booker's in a Houston Rockets jersey within the next season and a half.
The only thing that, and that would be a good, interesting idea. The only thing I'd be a little bit concerned about is Jalen Green, Devin Booker. Like,
Sure.
How does that look? Are they moving off of Green potentially? Like, what are they doing to match salaries? I'm not really sure. And if you're Phoenix in your theoretical KD trade this offseason, you probably want to get assets back. If you're trading Book, you absolutely want your own picks back. So, like, what are you getting in terms of salary matching? Because Booker's got like what, 50 million? So, like, that's where it's a little bit tricky. But then for the Rockets, is that something that makes you exponentially better? Is adding Booker something that puts you over the top potentially?
Well, I think for the Rockets, it's going to come down to, are they the defensive juggernauts that we think they can be? And if so, do they just need a little bit more firepower on the offensive end? You mentioned Jalen Green. Maybe they look at Booker as an upgrade there. But again, Booker's already 28 years old. $53 million next season. But I think the Rockets, with the way they've got future assets, they'll have the flexibility to go make that kind of move if they want to. And again, they specifically, look, they went out and got Suns picks, right? The Brooklyn Nets went to the Rockets before they made the Mikal Bridges trade last summer. And they said, hey, you know what? We've got a trade to move Mikal Bridges, but we don't want to tank without our own picks back. So let's work out a deal here. And the Rockets said, hey, we'll short the future of the Phoenix Suns, because Brooklyn told the Rockets, if you guys aren't willing to give us our picks back, we're going to go try to win right now. And our picks aren't going to be that valuable anyway. So you might as well give them back to us, and we'll give you future Suns picks that they actually got, ironically, in the Kevin Durant trade. The Nets did. We're going to give you future Suns picks, and that's going to give you ammunition either to add young talent to your roster in the future, or to potentially be the landing spot for Devin Booker, because you can do the same thing that we're doing right now. You could sell the Suns' own picks back to them. And that makes it easier for Phoenix, if they decide to fully rebuild this thing, to tank and go that direction, because they could get their own picks back from Houston. So that's the scenario that we're talking about here. And I know you looked into Mark Stein's recent podcast where he talked about this potentially being where all of this is heading in Phoenix.
Yeah, it's something that they're going to have to strongly consider, because they're, like I was explaining earlier, they're hitting a breaking point with this team where you're not able to make it better. It's clearly not good enough. And the only options you have is to come off of some of these guys. Can you retool around Booker? Potentially. But what is your window at that point? Potentially, if you get good enough, what is your legitimate window? So really, at that point, it's like your best bet may be to just rebuild this entire thing, because Booker's not 23, 24 anymore. He's now 28. And you could really see this a couple years from now where it's like he's 30. He probably wants out. Like they're going to be in a weird spot here. And so, yeah, Houston could be a team because they've got the unique ability to send back the picks and give these guys their own flexibility back and control over their own rebuild process, because Brooklyn didn't want to rebuild unless they got their own picks back, because they would just be giving those tank picks away. So that's kind of the situation you'd put Phoenix in, where you'd get their own stuff back and they can really get that flexibility there. But it all revolves around that Bradley Beal trade, because they would love to, and they tried their hardest to get off of Bradley Beal. And when that wasn't working, it was pretty interesting how we talked about this before. They pivoted to KD stuff. And it was like, are they seriously going to do this? Kevin Durant was on a podcast, I don't know if it was the Draymond show or a week or two ago. And he said he didn't want to get traded mid-season.
Yeah.
And it was seeming like he was going to go to Golden State. Golden State was locked in on him. Seems like he was option A, and they kind of, I don't want to say settled, but opted to go for Jimmy after they were told not to trade for Kevin Durant because he doesn't want to be traded there. But KD said he didn't want to get traded midseason because he knows that he would basically take a lot out of the team that's getting him. You have to integrate him, for one, and then two, there's a lot of assets and salary you'd have to be giving up to get KD. So he'd be nuking whatever team he goes to potentially. So like they really thought about all this stuff because the Beal contract, and it sucks because, like I said, the way we talk about it, it sounds like Beal is like some major villain, but he's not. I mean, that's what he has the ability to do. If he doesn't want to leave, he doesn't have to leave. You gave him that ability.
Yeah.
And you traded for him knowing this. And so since they're in that situation, they don't really have options unless they're just completely content with being middle of the pack, unless they get something crazy back for KD, I guess.
I think ultimately what this all comes down to, and you're right, look, maybe they get something great back for KD. Maybe that turns things around. That's what the Suns will try to do, and they're not trading Kevin Durant because they don't like Kevin Durant.
No,
they're trading Kevin Durant. Yeah, they're admitting this doesn't work. Booker, Durant, Beal does not work. Something has to change. We don't want to trade Booker, and we can't trade Beal, so we have no other choice but to trade Kevin Durant. But I'll tell you what this ultimately all comes down to, and it comes down to you had a new owner coming in, and Matt Ishbia with the Phoenix Suns, who said, "I've got the deep pockets. I don't care about the new CBA. I'm going to spend. I'm going to put stars together, and I'm going to win right now. And I don't care about a learning curve. I don't care about any of that because my money is going to buy me wins." And it has not worked out. It has not worked. We said this going in when the new CBA came out and the Phoenix Suns flipped their middle fingers at the league and the new rules designed to try to stop teams from doing exactly the way the Suns have built this team. We said this will be the test case. The new CBA is going to be tested by the Phoenix Suns. And if they're successful, maybe big, deep-pocketed owners will just keep spending. If they're not, they will become the cautionary tale. It looks like it's the latter. The new CBA is winning. It's made it so that the Phoenix Suns can't put the right kind of roster around Booker, Durant, and Beal. In addition to, they made a major miscalculation with those three stars actually fitting together because they 100% do not. And now, for the next few years at least, we're going to point to the Phoenix Suns as the cautionary tale. Any new ownership group coming in, expansion, Seattle, Vegas, welcome aboard. Don't do what the Suns did. They are going to be the cautionary tale now because of the way this is all played out. And again, maybe things get back on track with the Kevin Durant trade. Maybe that's where this ultimately goes. But still, this has been a disaster in Phoenix. They got the win today over the Mavs. I still don't think they make the play-in, even in the West this year. And we're talking Kevin Durant trades big time this summer. It's only a matter of time before he's on another team.
No, I mean, he probably also wants to trade at this point.
Yeah, at this point.
Like, especially after he was shopped, like, for the first time in his career like that, he probably wants to trade, especially with the way they're performing. But you said something I thought was interesting because on the Mark Stein podcast, he was saying he was talking to an owner, and he said that the owner told him that, like, if one piece of advice he would give new ownership groups is coming in, don't make any sweeping changes. Like, wait a couple years to learn this stuff. But he said that the ownership groups don't listen to him. So the people he's recommending, the people he's recommending don't listen. And like you said, this is a cautionary tale because he came in and was wanting to make these big sweeping moves. And he's basically going to have to eat crow unless, again, somehow, some way a KD trade makes this team better, which is a weird concept, but it wouldn't be like addition by subtraction. It's just probably just finding better fitting pieces.
Exactly.
That's what it is. Like, it obviously KD is great, and they don't fit together, all three of them, because of the redundancy in their skill set, but also the health. Like, they've been struggling with health too. So you've got too many things working against you. And so if you're Matt Ishbia, you went in, you made these decisions, and if you didn't force this to happen, you'd have much more flexibility and the team would be better off for it. So he's going to have to eat some crow on, for sure, on this one.
It wouldn't shock me at all if you turn Durant into a few high-level 3-and-D players, or at least one or two, and then another piece that comes in. They could turn this thing around next year. I don't want to be totally doom and gloom with them. But the other thing I thought of, Donnie, you mentioned that the owners saying that they would tell arriving owners not to do anything for the first year, and how nobody ever listens.
Yeah.
I can honestly say, man, if I had FU money like that, I'm a billionaire with a capital B. I'm probably doing the same damn thing as Matt. I'm probably coming in and going, no, I don't care about your rules. I got the deep pockets. I'm bringing excitement to this city, and we're going to go win right now because think about it. You live in that life. Like, anything you want, you can have, right? Hey, I want that car. I want that house. I want this. So you're not used to being told no. You're not used to being told you have to be patient or you have to wait. You're not used to that when you're living that life. I'd be doing the same thing if I was the new owner of a team. I'd be like, I'm changing everything. Let's change the name. Let's change the color scheme. What superstars can you get me? Let's go. I want to be able to show everybody this is what I did. And I would probably fall flat on my face because of it.
Yeah, I don't even blame him for that. Like, I would probably do the same thing. But, with hindsight being 2020 and all, he made some pretty bad decisions trying to push the team there. I asked you this off camera, so we'll end with this, and we can obviously open up to you guys. Let us know what you think. James Jones, I don't have an entire list of like his hits or misses, obviously, but does he have to take the fall for all of this?
He might not. Look, he is not as reviled in Phoenix as Nico Harrison is in Dallas. Right now, certainly.
You compared them earlier, and it's not even close.
No, it's not close. It is not close. Nowhere near being close. But if it's pretty clear that but the problem is, we know all of these decisions ultimately stem from ownership. This is not. Yeah. This is James Jones just executing the will of ownership, which often is the case.
Like,
what's that?
Probably the same in Dallas.
It's probably the same in Dallas. That's where Nico Harrison did have that relationship with Rob Pelinka already, and with the Nike and Kobe connection and all that kind of stuff. But it's possible just to make kind of a public show of it that hey, we're not going to tolerate this kind of ineptitude and everything in terms of the teams, their performance. Maybe that happens. I'd have to think though the big change is the Kevin Durant trade. And then how that gets handled will determine what happens with James Jones. Because again, I'm not in those war rooms in Phoenix, but the sense is that this is not James Jones. The roster construction is not entirely James Jones driven. A lot of this was Matt Ishbia coming in and saying, hey, no, we can get Kevin Durant, go get Kevin Durant. We can get Bradley Beal, go get Bradley Beal. CBA, I don't care about that, right? That was mostly where this was coming from. So I think James Jones sticks around, but you need somebody to be the fall guy. And I think it's going to be actually Kevin Durant in this situation, that it'll be trade him and then see what's what and go from there.
Any chance that Ishbia comes out and just says, I'm going to kind of leave this to these other guys? Like, we've seen ownership do that before. In fact, didn't Cuban do that once upon a time?
Mm-hmm.
Like, where he's like, I'm not really going to
really do it. How many of them can really do it?
Oh,
Cuban is already coming out, and now that he's got less control in the Mavs, he's already coming out and saying I would have done the Luka trade if we were getting like 4 unprotected firsts or whatever it was that he said, plus AD, plus all this other, I think it would be tough. And again, I'd be the same way. If I'm owning a team, like, I don't want somebody else to play with the toys. I want to play with the toy. I want to be able to manipulate the roster and do all that kind of stuff.
This is why you don't own a team.
This is why, this and the financial realities of it. But this is why I don't own the team right now. But I think it would be difficult for him to fully step back. Maybe he tries to listen more to the vision of other people, but to fully step back and say, no, I'm gonna empower you to make the decisions for us. I would be surprised if that's the way this goes.
Oh, okay. Well, that'll be interesting.
Yeah.
So all this stuff will be pretty interesting to see, starting with the presumed KD trade this offseason.
Exactly. That's coming. That's coming. All right, everybody. Let us know your thoughts in the comment section. Where is Kevin Durant going to wind up? And then Devin Booker, is he destined to be a Houston Rocket? What happens there? Give us your thoughts in the comment section down below. Don't forget to check out our live show from yesterday, in which we broke down a ton of topics around the NBA. So give that a click right now.